Hello everyone and welcome to Graphite Techniques here on Patreon. And last time we drew a beautiful pear. Remember, we went through all the different steps of how to create a realistic drawing with a lot of presence and fine detail using graphite. And this time, a few weeks ago, I gave you a video about creating monoprints as the background for graphite work, okay? And sorry, I have my leaves in a paper towel. And I made many of these, and we're going to go through them in a little bit, and we're just going to learn how I choose them for certain subjects. But I wanted to start out by saying, if you haven't made monoprints yet, you don't have to. You could just draw on a regular sheet of paper, and that's fine. You don't have to. But if you ever do want to add a watercolor wash to your graphite drawing, something to give it sort of a background, okay? Monoprints are a great way to do it. And the reason why, okay, is because they don't wet the paper too much. A lot of times our fine drawing papers are not really meant for watercolor. They're going to buckle and curl and bubble and all of that when we put water on them. And so if I just put a wet brush and made a wash on these, chances are the paper's going to curl up. And I did it earlier so you can see this paper is all curled up on the edges, okay? And if I turn it this way, I don't know if you can see this or not, but the paper is all buckled. Can you see that? So that's what happens when we just put watercolor and water straight from our brush onto watercolor paper. Okay, I'm sorry, onto drawing paper. Now, if you wanted to do this on watercolor paper, that's different. You know, if you have a heavyweight watercolor paper and you want to put a wash down and draw, but sometimes we really want that fine tooth of a drawing paper. And even the color of it, you know, some of these are blue and cream, and I've got Yupo paper, all different things. So a monoprint, and how I showed you in that video, it's a very simple technique. This is the most basic of monoprint techniques. Trust me, I'm not an expert at monoprinting at all. But this is how I use it. And so that basic monoprint technique helps us to get this beautiful texture and wash on our paper without making it too wet and making it buckle. Okay, so let's go through some of these and see what we think. I chose for my drawing, and I'm hoping that you will choose something from around your yard for yours. Since it's autumn and there are leaves everywhere, I picked up some oak leaves in my yard and I put them in this paper towel to dry them because they were quite wet. And so I have three here. One's larger, one's smaller, and one's just interesting. It has a lot of holes in it and character, like little bits that have come off of the leaf, and I really sort of like that. So anyways, I've got three here to choose from. And so if this is my subject, and I have made myself a nice big stack of monoprint sheets, when I had extra time or I have extra paper cut up or extra paint on my palette. And I've just made a bunch of these sheets to keep in reserve for when I might want to use one. And so I can take my subject and I can start just holding it on the paper and see what I think. So, boy, this is really lovely. Right away, this is really lovely. I like how I could start the drawing kind of where the paint ends, and I love how this one wash sort of curves like the stem curves. It makes a really nice composition. I could even move it out just a little bit so this leaf is more balanced over here. But you know what? I kind of like it more tucked in there. It's really beautiful. So this is a real possibility. So I'm going to put this one in a pile of ones that I really like. This one, and I really like the colors of this one. They sort of speak of fall to me, This one is very bright and really, really textured, and I just don't think the leaf, it does anything for my subject, so I would just put that one aside. This one is interesting. It's got some nice color. It's actually in Yupo paper, so that would be really fun. I kind of like that one. And even if I chose to use a bigger subject, it would work, So I'm going to put that one over there. This one I already practiced on. This one, even if I went this way and sort of took the leaf off that way or something, that would work. It's nothing real special, so I'm gonna put that one aside. when I did this one, I kind of saw a seashell. So maybe I'll save that for that. This one's just the wrong colors. So is this one. This one could be nice. This one could be very nice, actually, with this coming off the bottom. You know, something like that. That's a possibility, so I'll keep that one aside. And then this one was very, very textured, and again, I just think too bright for this subject. And then this one is beautiful. I love this one, and I will use this for something special, but I think it's wasted with an oak leaf. The colors just aren't right. So I go back. I've got 3 here, and I can kind of line them all up. I was very, very fond of this one, especially with this a leaf that curls more like that. It would be super cool. I don't know. I really like that one. And this one is also very, very nice. And then this one's a little bit bigger. It's also beautiful. So truly, I mean, I could do a triptych of 3. I don't know if you can see all of these lined up here. I could do a triptych of 3, but I want to choose one. And quite honestly, I'm really digging this first one. I just love it. So I'm going to stick with that one. And I'll put my other leaves aside, use those another day, my other papers aside. So the first thing I want to do is talk about my other material. So we're going to be doing a drawing just like we did our pear. We're going to use the same series of steps. Blocking in sort of the big picture, refining our outline, filling in with direction of form, lifting out highlights, adding in the darkest bits, and then finally putting in our final details. And we'll do that over 2 lessons. We're not going to do it all today. So I think the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make our big picture block in and get refine our outline, and then I think we'll fill in the form and then we'll stop. Okay, so I'm really loving this. I'm going to use 2 pencils. I'm going to use an HB pencil and a 2H pencil to get this first part down. I have an eraser. I have several different kinds of erasers here. And I also have my, my brush if I need to do any brushing of the paper so I don't get my finger oils on the paper. And I also wanted to show you guys, I know we've talked about pencil sharpening many times, and I wanted to show you my mechanical pencil sharpener, and it's by Rapesco and rapesco.com, although I think I purchased it at Amazon. And this is a great pencil sharpener. It's really full. This is the number 74. It was not expensive at all, okay? It's got this little drawer that you can push out so you can empty your shavings, which I obviously need to do. And then it's got these little handles here. So you basically pull this out, hold the handles together, and then you put your pencil in, okay, like that, and then you turn it until the pencil is sharpened. It gives a really nice long point. This pencil's already pretty sharp because I just sharpened it. Let me see if I have one that is not sharp. There, how about this one? This is a Graphite Aquarelle pencil, and that's the other thing. It does a really nice job on colored pencils. Stick it in there. And then all of a sudden, it doesn't need to sharpen anymore. You can feel that it's done. Let it go. And look at that beautiful long point on this pencil. So this is another type of pencil sharpener for you to think about. I just wanted to show you that because I was sharpening a few of my colored pencils today. I always like to tell you about all the tools because they're fun. We certainly don't need them all, but it's good to know. If this is something you're looking for, this is a really good one. I've had it for like 2.5 years and it's still going strong. So, okay, I'm going to turn my video off for just a minute, get myself a drink of water, and I will be back to begin. Okay, so I've chosen my paper with a monoprint on it. I have my subject, and the first thing I want to do is I want to play with my subject on the paper and sort of see where I want it. And I really like this sort of coming right about here. So it sort of covers up that edge. but then this here sort of curls off to the side, okay? And the leaf is curling up, and I don't think I want to deal with that, so I'm going to press it down when I make my marks here. And I don't want it curling up when I draw it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pencil, this is just a 2H pencil, and I'm just going to sort of make a few marks showing me where my edges are. Comes out to here, curves in here, comes out to about here, here. Comes out to about here. See how I'm just using my pencil to sort of give myself guidelines of where I want to place it. My stem comes off this way. So I'm just sort of marking with my pencil where my leaf is positioned on the paper. Just giving myself a few guidelines. And then I can move it off to the side. So I've got a little bit of markings here to help me. And then I'm going to start with that big picture block in. So I want to get down the whole outline of my leaf. And this is a start, okay? And then I will sometimes put my leaf on a white background so I can see it a little better. And I'm going to start up here at the top. And I want to kind of block in where that center vein is. Just sort of draw it in. I'm going to use my HB, sorry guys. And this center vein comes all the way down, and then it meets up with the stem down here. I'm going to lightly mark in where my stem is. Okay, so I've got my center vein. Once that's in, I'm going to think about where the auxiliary veins come off, so the veins that go to each point. And this one starts about here, sort of comes off this way, here, comes off this way, here, starts to come up, and then this one comes off sort of this way and curves over to that end. So I've got my center, my center vein and my auxiliary veins marked out. And then I'm going to use the tip of my pencil and just sort of draw in the outline. Of my leaf. Now remember that we don't necessarily need to make it perfect, okay, but we want to get as close as we can. There. Let's see here. It comes out to about here. See how I'm just sort of using my pencil to lightly mark in the outline of my leaf. I'm always kind of looking ahead to the marks that I've made on the paper. And then I can take my eraser and I can remove anything that I don't like here. That's not quite right. There. Yeah. So then I can reinforce that center vein where I see it. This one kind of comes up here. This one kind of comes up here and then comes up here. So I'm being very, very light with my pencil. Just giving myself a little bit of a roadmap to follow here. Okay, so I have a very basic outline of my oak leaf. All right, now if you have not, I wanted to go back for a minute and say, if you have not done the monoprinting yet, before you start this project, you have a couple weeks, okay, because we're going to do part of this today and then we'll finish it up in a couple of weeks. I have to say, I might miss a couple of days. This is not public knowledge, so I'm not really sharing it except for with you and my friends and family. But I do have a scheduled surgery for November 13th. And that week, I will be in the hospital for 2 full days, 2 full nights, so 3 days, and then coming home. And I'm just not sure. It is an open abdominal surgery, and so I do have a little bit of recovery time. My doctor thinks I should be able to get back to work here at home right away. So we'll just see how it goes. But I just want to let you know that you do have a little bit of time for this before we do our next step. So don't worry so much if you don't have this done right away. So I'm just going to use my eraser to sort of clean up any extra lines that I don't need. You can use any of your erasers to do that. Anything that seems a little too dark, just kind of going over it a little bit. And this is the time in my drawing where I really want to take time. And then erase again any extra lines that I've made that I don't need. And I think that's pretty good. Okay, so now I have my outline done. I'm going to hold this up so you can see it. It's just a basic outline. Okay, see that? All right. So now that that's done, remember, once our big picture blocking was done and we had our outline done, what we do then is we fill in the form with direction of form, okay? We are looking for a mid-tone value. We're not looking at any detail. Okay, so I'm going to use my HB pencil for this. This leaf is actually fairly dark. It's mostly mid-tone, okay, with some highlights and then with some darker details. All right, so I don't have to worry about reserving too much light. We can always remove that later. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the top and I'm going to fill in with direction of form. I'm going right over the watercolor paint where I see it. Okay, and my leaf is sort of coming this way. So I'm using direction of form to make these little hatch marks. And the whole idea is to get rid of that outline so I don't look like I have an outline anymore. I'm going to lose that outline. And I want to create the form of this leaf. Once I get about this far, I'm going to come over here to this side and do the same. So I see it, it's kind of at a diagonal a little bit. Now you'll notice that the veins are really light. So I can go right up to the vein with my pencil lines, with my direction of form shading on one side. But on the other side, I'm going to leave a little bit of light. So I'll start filling that in and just leave a little bit of light on the left side of the vein. Now remember, we're going right over this watercolor, so our pencil will look a little bit different when we're going over color. And that's okay. That's part of the beauty. And my direction of form sort of changes here, and I see it more this way, straight up and down. And I'll just make those two melt together. So you can see how I've left a tiny bit of light in between for that vein. Still going this way. And then it sort of shifts. So your leaf will be your leaf and it'll be a little different. And then remember, on the opposite side of this vein, I'm going to leave a little bit of white space for that vein. Just filling in. Okay? And then it kind of comes this way. So your leaf is going to be different than my leaf, and I want you to be looking at yours and seeing the direction of your lines. The techniques are the same no matter what our subject is. So you could be drawing any leaf at all. Going right up to that line there. Okay, and then on this side, I see my lines going more this way. And I'm leaving a little bit of white space there underneath that vein and in the by the center vein. So now the left side of my leaf is filled in with direction of form. So I'm going to continue and finish the right side of the leaf, and then I'll be back. Okay, so now I have filled in my entire leaf with direction of form hatching, okay? I've left, if you can see, I've left little bits of light where these veins are, okay? So I've gone right up to the line on one side and then left a little bit of light on the other. Now every now and then I did go out of the lines, so I take my eraser and I just clean those up. And that's it, I think. Yes, a little bit more right here. Okay, so we have a decision to make right here, whether we want to use a blending stick to sort of smooth things out in direction of form or just use a soft brush. And I think I will use a blending stick. Let me find it. Okay, I found a blending stick. If you don't have a tortillon or a blending stick, you could also use a Q-tip and just lightly go over it, or you could use a brush. And remember, when we use a blending stick, we want to still go in direction of form, and we're using that very, very light angel wing touch, that feathery touch, really, really lightly. Just to sort of smooth it out. Still going in direction of form. And I'm trying to lose that outline. So I'm trying to make that graphite blend in. Very, very lightly. Almost seems like it's not doing anything, but it is. You'll see. See how this side looks a little bit different than the right side. And then I would do the same over here. I don't want to cover up the paint, okay? That's not my goal, because I want that paint to show through. Just very lightly going over the marks that I've made with my blending stick. Keeping in direction of form and trying to leave those highlights white or the color of the paint. Now I have a few places where my original pencil marks were a little bit dark. And I can take my eraser and just really lightly go over them in those areas. I can do a couple different things, but I can start with just where I see that it's definitely too dark. I can go over it just a little bit. Hard pencil. I used a hard pencil there. So if I've done that, then I can go back up using direction of form again, and I can sort of fill that in, always with the goal of getting rid of those outlines. Down here, this is when I was using the 2H, I think, or maybe it was the HB, but I definitely went a little too heavy with my pencil there. So always remember that light touch we're trying to have. There. Okay, So I'm pretty happy with this first layer of graphite. There are a few areas. I've definitely made too dark of a pencil line. Again, I could just keep fiddling with it until I'm happy with it, but I'm pretty happy here. And this is where we're going to stop for this lesson. So what we've done is we've selected our background from our Monoprint selection. We've chosen our subject and put it onto our paper and decided where we wanted it, made some marks to where we're going to position it on the paper, then set it aside on a white sheet of paper and drew the outline of our subject, and then went in with direction of form shading, leaving white space for the veins, okay, and filled in our form so we could lose the outline as much as possible. As we continue to work on this in the next lesson, we'll lose that outline even more, and we'll start to lift highlights out, add in some darker areas, and then finally add in some details. So that's all for now. This is what I want you to, this is your work for now. I want you to select your subject, to choose the monoprint, and to go through all of these steps. You may even want to do it more than one time until you have one that you're really happy with to move forward with. Okay, so that's it for now. I hope this was enjoyable. If you have any questions, please ask. I will definitely be checking in over the weekend and as always to see what you're up to. And as my surgery date draws near, I'll give you more information and stuff, but it should not really mess with my schedule here too much. I'm going to try really hard to get a little bit ahead and make some videos before I have surgery, so I have things to share in case I'm not feeling so well. But anyways, it's all going to be fine. I feel very confident in my surgeons and the plan they have for me. It's just one of those things. I have to do it, and when it's all over and I'm better, I'm going to be able to move mountains again. I know that. So anyways, that's all. And again, I'm not really sharing this publicly, but I do feel because you are my patrons and you support my work here, it's something that I want to share with you. Okay, hope you all are having a great day. Have a good weekend. I'll be in to check in and see how you're doing. Ask any questions at all, and I will see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.